Good evening, everybody. We're going to get started in just a couple minutes. My name's Casey Kolodny. I'm Kelly's son. I'm just hosting the meeting. I'll be asking a couple questions that people have for Raphael, and we're going to get started in just like a couple moments. So let's just take a minute and let's all just close our eyes for a second and do inhale twice through the nose and sigh out the mouth. Just come into this space of relaxation again. Two more. One more. Twice in through the nose. Sigh out the mouth. And as we're in this place of calm, just let's all connect into the universe of breathe in the energy of the cosmos, of the sun into your head as you inhale. Allow it to enter your heart. Exhale, send that energy all the way down into the earth. Ground it to the earth, then breathe in Mother Earth's energy all the way up into your heart. Exhale that energy all the way up into the sky. Inhale Father Sky energy into the heart. Exhale down into the earth. Inhale, breathe in Mother Earth energy. Just keep that going for a moment. Tuning into your breath, tapping in. And we'll get started any minute now.
Thank you, Casey. Good evening, everyone. How are you? Is my screen showing up there, or is your screen showing, Casey?
You're on.
I'm on. All right. So let me just make sure we're all set here. So I wanted to do this for all of you to tune in and connect with Raphael. I know physically, emotionally, spiritually, we're all kind of going through a lot right now as we can feel the energy and all the changes happening on the planet. So I thought, well, what a better place than to talk to the beautiful angelic realm and get another perspective. So for those of you who are new to this process and new to me channeling, I was not trying to channel. I started to channel back in 1989 during the harmonic convergence. I was under a type of actually chiropractic care, believe it or not, that opened the Kundalini in my body spontaneously, and a wave of energy really just came up through my spine, and my body would kind of move in this beautiful wave, and the sounds would come through me. And over time, this energy, which we know now to be the angel Raphael, came through and started speaking through me. At the time, I was a college student, so you can imagine how strange that was. And now, you know, we have all these people on the call, and people are, when you say you channel now, people say, oh yeah, really? Who do you channel? Well, back in the late 80s, when you said you channeled, people looked at you like you had three heads. So as Raphael says, we may not think that our consciousness is shifting and changing and raising because we see so much division on the planet, but actually it is, because look at all the people who are opening their hearts to information like this and tapping in and tuning in. So I'm delighted to see so many beautiful old faces that I love and adore who've been with me through the years as we've gone through so many classes with the angel Raphael. And I'm going to do another one in October for all of you. But right now, I just want to tune in and connect with Raphael and with her loving presence and be a beacon of light for whoever I can through this process. So how it works, if you're new to this, is I'm going to close my eyes. It's kind of brave for me to be doing this on Zoom. I look a little ridiculous. And my body sort of rocks back and forth, and my hands kind of move around. And my voice shifts a little bit, and Raphael will come in and say, hello. And when I'm in a live audience, when there's no COVID, the whole audience back says, hello, we get the energy moving. But we're going to keep everything on mute tonight because it can be very distracting. So make sure you're muted, and Casey will keep an eye on that as well. We're not going to be opening this up for Q&A this evening. So Raphael will come in and say hello, and Casey then will say hello back, and that will kind of connect Raphael's energy with the group. And then Raphael usually comes in and has sort of a general message. And if you want to type in on the chat, if you have questions, not personal questions, but questions about global things or what's going on the planet, or spiritual questions, feel free to do that. And we'll just see how things unfold. If we get to that, then Casey will take a look at them. If it's appropriate, we can answer them. And if not, sometimes Raphael just has her own agenda. One more thing, for those of you who are new to the process, traditionally people think of the angel Raphael as a male. And Raphael, when coming to me at the time, said that it was just a spiral of unconditional love that descends on the planet to support us waking up, and that it has no gender. So don't be confused when often I refer to Raphael as she, just because I'm a she, and so it's easier for me to think of it that way. All right, so let's all just take a few nice deep breaths. Personally, I protected my energy field, and I recommend that we all just take a moment. You can take your hand like a cup here, bring it to the back of your neck, and just go back, behind, above, and down. We're just going to seal down all of our energy centers as we take some nice deep breaths, tuning down and rooting ourselves into the earth. I have something that Raphael taught us in one of our classes. I think it was in the Awaken the High Priestess class, which was a beautiful class. It was the 4 layers of protection. And we worked with both Archangel Michael, the goddess Sekhmet, which is a powerful female energy that has a lion with it, Grandmother Spider and her web, and Saint Germain and the violet flame. And we use those energies often to come in and create layers of protection around us. Not that we need to necessarily protect ourselves from anything, other than all the energy now is up and moving around, and sometimes it can get kind of mixed in our field and agitate us. So the 4 layers of protection is a beautiful way to get started. All right, so with that, I'm going to say goodbye for now as Kelly, and let you guys enjoy Raphael. First of all, we invite the most beautiful, divine, unconditional, loving being, the angel Raphael, to support us this evening in opening our hearts and raising our consciousness. With much gratitude. Make sure that everyone is muted. It is that we are delighted to be here with all of you. And we are wanting you to know from the angelic realm that you are not alone. It is very important for you to remember this and to feel us and to know that we are here. And it is that we're also wanting to remind you that you have free will. And because of the vibration and the energy of free will, it is that we cannot be here always with you unless you invite us. So we are very delighted today to receive this invitation to speak to and to connect with all of you beautiful beings. And so it is that often we have particular things which we're wanting to talk about, but we really are wanting to feel and to connect with all of you and whatever it is you are wanting to talk about. So let's begin with that. What is it?
Hi, Angel Raphael. It's so nice to have your presence with us. The first question that we have tonight is, what is the difference between judgment and discernment?
As you know, your planet is going through an enormous transition at this time. We are not wanting that light on us. Oh. And it is that as it is going through this transition, you are moving out of judgment itself, or it is judgment that holds you in the energy or in the vibration of separation itself. For it is that without judgment, you cannot hold the energy of separation. And if you cannot hold the energy of separation, you begin to step into and to move into unity consciousness, which is what many of you speak of or understand to be fifth dimensional energy. And so there is a great difference between judgment and discernment, for it is that discernment occurs when you are in what we call a state of neutrality or above, when you are just in a place of witnessing and watching and discerning and making a conscious decision without a trigger or an attachment to it is what is needed for you. It may include boundaries or all kinds of things. But judgment is very different from that, for it is always operating in the lower octaves, as we call them, in the first, second, and third, perhaps, chakra, often based in fear or a sense of deep insecurity or unworthiness in your own being, in which you are judging another for their views or their behavior or how it is that you see them. And so we're very delighted that you are asking about this question, because so many of you are asking, well, how is it that we move out of this division and this polarity that you are experiencing right now on the planet? For all of the beings from the angelic realm and those coming are talking about you moving into this new consciousness of unity. And you say, that sounds all wonderful, but when I turn on the news or I pay attention to what's going on, there seems to be more separation than ever. And it is that that separation is coming up in your face, in a sense, to be seen, to be looked at, to be loved, and to be honored, so that it can be recognized, because it is what you might label, in a sense, as the shadow part of self. And a lot of those different pieces or shadow aspects have been buried for a very long time, or shoved, in a sense, under the rug. And now they're coming up to the surface to be seen and to be looked at, to be honored, for change to occur and a sense of more equality to come onto the planet. But in order for this to happen, it is that the things that created them in the beginning came from a sense of judgment. And so releasing judgment is a way for you personally, each and every one of you, to honor who it is that you are and to be able to ascend your energy and vibration into higher dimensions. And when we talk about this, we want to explain it just for a moment, because we know that you right now experience this world with linear time, and you're going about your business and you're involved in the identity of who it is that you think you are as you watch what occurs in your daily life and in your experience and in your reality. But as you understand on some levels, you recognize that you are just energy beings and that there is so much more to you than that in which you can see. For instance, it is that you cannot see my energy, and yet you feel and know my presence as my vibration comes down to be with all of you and to love and adore who it is that you are and to stir something in your heart, to open it to the remembering of your divinity. And yet you do not necessarily see me with your eyes. Some of you have your pineal gland so open and awake that you can see my spiral, you can see my light. But it is that there is so much occurring, so much more to you. You are such a vast, infinite being of love that you cannot see all of those parts of self. Just as you have a deep belief that there is a core in the earth and you cannot see it, and a deep belief in the stars and the galaxy and the galactic energy way beyond, but you have never been there yourself. It is that there is a knowing, a deep understanding. And so as this energy is breaking open, which is what's happening right now on the planet, you're breaking free what we call, in a sense, a web or a matrix that has held you in a particular holographic reality that is beginning to crumble. And so when judgment is released, then separation is released. And when separation is released, anything in your reality right now that is still perpetuating and holding you in separation is going to begin to fall away and to dissolve as you will begin to build new things that are created in unity and love. That is why you're seeing such a division in your political realm or in your government structure. That is why you're seeing such division in the way in which you view and see each other as separate or as Black or white or as a Palestinian or a Jew. All these things that you have decided create a sense of an illusion of separateness between each other have to begin to dissolve and to fall away. It's like the outside around the cells is beginning to dissolve so that they can merge more together. And so one of the ways, and the greatest way to begin to do that, is to release the energy and the vibration of judgment. When you release judgment of another, whether it be that they have a belief that is different than you, a political way of thinking that is different than you, a way around medicine that is different, or eating that is different, or that they have a different color of skin, or a different religious background, or a different way of seeing the universe, and you judge them, it is you are perpetuating separateness, and you are allowing it to begin to continue to expand. And you may say, yes, but it is that my belief is based in love and their belief is based in fear, or what I do is based in what we know is right, and what they're doing is based in hate or what is wrong. But it is that in the judgment in itself is where the separation comes forward. So it is we are inviting all of you to work on internally in your own world, not so much in the larger perspective or picture, but in your own thinking process and reality, where it is perhaps that you are judging. And it could be very simple in that you are judging the way your partner cooks their eggs, or you're judging whether a friend, why they wear their hair that way, or why they dress this way, or why they said this in that tone. It is that judgment does not have to be some grand thing. It can be very small over time. And what happens when one is operating from the vibration of judgment, that as you do this, you begin to create murkiness around your energetic field. And when we see you as these vast, magnificent, beautiful balls of light. But in where it is that you see, you often feel or understand yourself to be in this third dimensional reality, just in this one area. Well, there are so infinite dimensions, and they collapse in on themselves. Sometimes you think of dimensions as something that go in layers up into the sky. And that is the linear way of thinking from the 3D idea of time. But it is from our perspective, we see it as holographic, we see it as a whole. And it is that these dimensions actually are very small and they collapse in and coil in on one another. But they move, and let's say we'll work right now or talk about 9 of them, beginning from the core and the earth up into the crystals, or what you might sometimes call your earth star energy, into the 3rd dimension, which you are operating in most of the time now. And then you are moving up to what we call the 4th dimensional energy, which is a projection that's occurring of the reality that you're projecting to be what you know at this moment as a mirror of your experience or your life, up into the higher 5th, which is operating in unity and love consciousness, the place in which you are all moving toward. And then up into the energies of vibration, where you see the symmetry, sacred geometry and shapes, and then sounds, and then all the way up into the soul star and the galactic and the heart. And it continues into an infinite space until you merge into the sea of oneness, to the place in which you originated from, and that 0 point of nothingness where all began and where you will return. But right now, what's happening on your beautiful and magnificent planet is that you are bridging the reality between this reality that you have constructed together and collectively created in your thought forms to be, into a new reality in which you are bridging it into a way in which judgment is released, separation becomes more dissolved, and you're operating from a greater standpoint of divinity or your higher self. And in between that place is an area that hovers, and it's above the head, quite a bit up, about 8 feet. And that vibration that hovers there is the projection of one's reality. But it can get easily clouded, or what we might call murky or mucky. It is a canopy of vibration and energy. And the light from the higher realms and from where it is that I reside as I come down to speak to you must penetrate or move through that murkiness to hit your crown and to radiate love into your body. Well, if one's area up in that canopy is solidified with heaviness, that makes it difficult for them to have receptors to receive the light, the information, the transmissions of the higher aspect, not of something outside of self, but actually of their higher self, or what you might call your angelic self, the higher realms. And so one of the things that clouds that vibration, that energy, from you to have direct link or contact to that higher source knowing that allows you to create the bridge between this reality and the next, is judgment. And judgment is very different than discernment, because discernment does not come with a trigger nor an emotion. It comes from a place of neutrality or above, in which you are in a state of observation and witness, discerning whether to do or not to do something, or whether to connect or not to connect, whatever that may be. Very different than judgment. And so the vibration of judgment, it creates that cloudiness. It is one of many. The vibration of resentment creates that cloudiness. The vibration of comparison, which is often actually very similar to judgment, creates that. The vibration of anxiety and fear creates that. There are many different emotional frequencies that create murkiness in that 4th dimensional 8-foot area, up about 8 feet above the head. And so in order, many of you are always saying, well, how do I raise my vibration? Or how do I move into those higher octaves? How do I hear from the angelic realm myself? How do I tune into that? It is a merging with and loving the murkiness, which you might label as the shadow self, rather than pushing it away, connecting to it, opening to it, and allowing it to be free, to be seen, to come up, to be loved, so that it can begin to float away and to dissipate, creating an opening or more space for the light to come through. And so we invite all of you to remember that it is the emotional work, and the emotional clearing of things that have built in that vibrational area over your lifetime, from pre-verbal birth trauma all the way up to your current moment in time, to release and to clear them. And as you clear them, it's like a cloud opening up for the sun to come in. And that light begins to pour, and the energy of those higher octave vibrations come down through and for you. So what it is that we from the angelic realm are wanting to do is that right now your planet needs all of you to have as much light radiating in all of your cells as possible. And since you chose to be here this evening on this call, we assume that you are giving permission for us to intervene and to support you in your healing. And to support you in your healing is to clear, in a sense, that murkiness. So we're wanting to give all of you a gift this evening. And the gift is to clear that so that you can feel your own divinity more clearly, and that light can pour down from what you might think of as the heavens, down through the top, through that cloud as it breaks it open into the crown of the top of your head, moving through your whole body and into each and every cell as it awakens the dormant DNA to reactivate you to your divinity, as you ground it down deep into the core of Mother Earth. Because what is occurring right now is that the bridging between this world and the new world is taking place. And it is not only that you are evolving collectively as a human race in your consciousness, but your beautiful planet, Mother Earth, is evolving, and you are doing this together. As you think of time of evolution and you look back over history, it is not in the moment that the species is evolving that you can see it, just as you cannot always see the flower blooming in the moment it is when the time has passed and you look, you realize that that flower has bloomed. And we see that you are blooming, you are evolving, but just as difficult as it is to see the evolution of the human species in physical form, it may appear more loose and more difficult to see the evolution of the consciousness. And so what's happening is your consciousness collectively is evolving into a newer octave and a newer frequency of light. But you must be able to receive the transmissions of light that are coming in right now in order to support you to collectively have a vision of the new earth, so that you can see beyond the cloud that stands in your way, that gets in your way of your day, that triggers you, then brings you down into a place in which you cannot find your way through the murkiness to even have the vision of what you are wanting for the earth or even your own particular life. So it is that just like the algorithm of things that you look at, right? When we understand that there are things in your systems that if you type in something about shoes, all you see are shoes on your computer. Or if your Instagram has been something you typed about politics, all you see is politics. Or if it is about hate, all you see is hate or division. But if it is of love or spirituality or connection to those worlds and realms, it keeps feeding that to you. And it is no different in the universe where you place your energy and attention, as you very well know, keeps feeding your reality. And so as you release judgment, which is one of the deep core energies, and there are many for resentment and moving into forgiveness and releasing things and moving into gratitude, there are so many to work with. But let's work with, since your question you first asked was judgment this evening, we're going to invite all of you to release a particular judgment that you may have toward anyone, and choose to see if you can dissolve it in that canopy of murky energy above your head. And I'm going to invite in now my legions of angelic friends to come and to be with all of you, for we have been talking to you in many respects to keep you a bit distracted, but it is our vibration coming into all of you right now that is of importance. And we're going to ask you to just take a nice deep breath. And we want you to know that although you tune into my vibration as the angel Raphael and all of the angels that are here in legions of light tonight with all of you, you yourself are also an angel, each and every one of you. And it is that there is a higher aspect of yourself that you may have forgotten about for a bit. Sometimes we call it your angelic self. You might think of it as your higher self. It is the part of self that fully knows all of your contracts while you are here on earth, the unfoldment of your particular lifetime, what it is that your purpose is, how to bring forth and manifest and create the desires of any given moment, the aspect of self that is in pure unconditional love, that is not wounded or filled with trauma or drama, that is not triggered by the emotion or the word of another, that is not flustered by anything, that holds a deep sense of grounded stillness in the empty space of all that is. That vastness of that part of you is here this evening. And I have done this before, and I have asked now for compensation from the higher realms to reconnect, in a sense, to reopen the space between where it is that you are and your understanding of the third dimension in the body that you are in now, all the way into the highest aspect of the vastness of your pure enlightened self. And the reason it's called the enlightened self is because it is filled with so much light, more light than you can understand from the perspective of 3D experience. And so we're going to open up now into that aspect of that higher place, and we're going to invite a spiral of your higher self to come down. Before we do that and open that doorway for all of you, we want you to think of one thing that you are judging, one person, one idea, one philosophy, one belief system, anything at all. It can be minor or big. Some type of judgment that you are having in your human experience. And we want you to bring that judgment into the forefront of your mind. We want you to close your eyes right now. And as you close your eyes, we want you to take a nice deep breath. And as that judgment comes up, we want you to ask yourself perhaps what you would be like without that judgment. I want to ask you in this moment right here and right now, are you willing in this second to let that go? And if you are, we're grabbing it from you. And if you're resisting and holding on to it, that's all right. You can give it some time and mull it over for a bit until you're ready. But just start to bring conscious, unconditional love and awareness to it. And as you're doing that, you've opened up more space in the canopy above you. That canopy resides 8 feet above your head. And we're going to come in there now and widen and open that space even further as we bring down and light up your body with more love than you can remember. So take a nice deep breath. As you begin to feel the energy above your head, about 8 feet above, I want you to breathe up into that space and realize that you're opening up those clouds and you're releasing now that energy. As you hear the rain in the background, it is washing away and it is clearing and cleansing the debris of judgment as it begins to release this from your energetic field, and it opens this magnificent and beautiful space. You're going to rise your consciousness up and through it as you begin to merge into that sea of oneness. We want you to see your highest self. Feel your highest I am presence, the I am of the I am of who you were before you came into this body. We want you to remember that presence and that knowing. That is truly who it is that you are. Begin to feel that knowing and to begin to feel that energy. You see that it has a projection of who you are, but it is radiant with love, and you are filled with light. You're in your perfect illuminated body, completely and absolutely healthy. You are glowing with light that when you walk, you just shimmer with love and light all around you. Your eyes are sparkling and you're just filled with light. Begin to feel that presence, the I am of the I am of who you are and your divinity. Feel he or she, the higher aspect of who you are. Remember it and know the star systems, the home that you came from, where you came from. And know that you have contracted to be on Earth at this time as Earth goes through a major transition. And that you are safe during this transition and here to be a guiding beacon of beautiful love and light as the earth moves into higher frequencies, as do you and the collective. As you feel this higher part of self, begin to feel and know that it is a spiral of light as I am. And take your hand as you begin to grab onto that spiral and begin to feel that energy of the I am presence of who you are beginning to come down as it hits the top of the crown of your head. You feel a lightning bolt of love and light moving into your brain, lighting up your third eye, lighting up your pineal gland, clearing away any debris or thoughts that are no longer needed, opening up the space of clairvoyance for you to see more clearly, to know your own intuitive guidance, and to trust your discernment, releasing and letting go of separation and judgment. As the energy begins to continue to spiral down, it's spiraling into the throat, and it is lighting up your whole throat and expanding it as you voice begins to sing like an angel, and the tone and the vibration of who you are is expanded and expanded as it's moving that light all the way down, taking away any heavy burden on your shoulder as it lifts it from you, that you no longer need to carry that heavy worry and pain as it moves down into the heart, expanding and opening love, that you find love and forgiveness in your heart for those who've harbored resentment or haven't spoken to, that you release and let go of that, loving them and seeing their divinity shine as that light is moving down into your solar plexus, opening your power center, reminding you of all the gifts that you came to Earth with, opening up that space to stand in those gifts, in your power, and not be afraid to shine your light on all those around you, dropping down even further into your creativity as your music and art and painting and poetry and acting and drawing and gardening and light of creativity opens and expands and is reactivated in your body, moving down even into the root, connecting you to Mother Earth and all of her beauty and her love that she has for you, grounding down now, pulling the spiral, feeling it come down from beneath you as you bring it all the way deep down into the core, and you wrap it and its deep roots to her as it is tethered now, that more of the highest aspect of yourself has been embedded in every cell of your being as you are being lit up and reminding you who you are. Sit now for a moment and absorb this light coming in. And know that you are divine and perfect as you are. Right now, in this moment, you are perfect. Oh, and so this is our gift to you this evening, to reacquaint you with yourself, your higher self, which is always been with you and always will be. But sometimes its light has a hard time getting through the murkiness. And the murkiness is the shadow. And the shadow are those parts of self that are requiring your attention to be looked at and to be loved. And as you all do this, you begin to clear away that canopy above you and open up a space for more and more light to come in. And as more and more light comes into you, it comes into each of you and into the planet. And you begin to merge the higher vibrations of what you think of as the fifth dimension or source energy with the vibration where you sit now. As you sit here in this place of all-knowing, you are not in any way affected by the chaos around you, but are grounded in the centeredness of the stillness, of the completeness of the perfection beyond this world, as above, so below. We are going in and dissolving any request of energy that you are wanting dissolved as we begin to break it up for all of you. As it surfaces, we invite you to bring love to it. And know that now a larger quota, in a sense, or quantity of light has been reactivated in all the centers of your being, opening up more space for the remembering of the awakening that is upon you. Is there anything more you are wanting to ask before we say goodnight?
Thank you so much, Raphael. That was so incredibly powerful. And, one thing that a lot of people are asking about as we focus on healing the planet and raising our vibration is a lot of people have been asking about the election and what's to come with that, and around fear and our evolution.
It is that all things that continue to perpetuate separation, division, and judgment will begin to dissolve. For it is that you cannot continue to move into these higher vibrations, in which is necessary for the evolution of your species and for the survival of your sense here as a human race on the planet, when you're operating out of judgment and division. And so your election is a representation of the division or the polarity or the energy of what you think of as separateness being reflected on a scale, in a sense, in your country. So it is extraordinarily important for you to release your judgment of the other side, whatever side you're on, and to bring compassion and to bring love to the other perspective so that healing can occur. So healing can only occur when you are able to merge into the remembering that everything is a part of you and is a reflection of yourself. You say, but that's impossible. How could something such as this side or that side be a reflection of myself? Because I don't believe that. I'm not nasty, or I'm not whatever it may be. Right? But if you're connecting to the highest aspect of who you are, in which we've just reconnected you and acquainted you with more of your higher self and more of that light to come in, if you're operating already from that dimension of that higher I am presence, or many of your great masters, whoever they might be in your culture or religion, such as Buddha or Jesus or Allah, or whatever it may be, what would their perspective be here? It would be unconditional love. And they would not be that they would only stand in unconditional love on their side of the street, in their blue corner or their red corner, that they were right and you were wrong. Then we are back into what your original question was, which was about judgment. So judgment is a beautiful thing to have asked about. It was synchronistically perfect because you're judging something, the other side, and the judgment creates the murkiness, and the murkiness creates the heaviness that does not allow the light to come through. So begin with something tiny to release judgment around, something little in your life, and play with the energy and the vibration this week until we get together again around judgment, and have conscious awareness. Oh, I had a judgment around that, or I judged this person, or I gossiped about that person, or I said this about that, or my opinion about this, or my belief about that. We are not saying you cannot have an opinion or a belief, but when it is anchored in a judgment that you are right and another is wrong, it is anchored in separation. And when it is anchored in separation, it perpetuates the 3D reality that is based in something that is beginning to continue to expand in polarity and division, that is coming up to the surface now to the point where you're clashing, where you're killing each other, where you're fighting over, where you're creating all kinds of unnecessary angst. And it may boil to the surface and get more intense and more over the top in a sense. There may be even more violence because it has to come up. The shadow has to be looked at to be integrated. It cannot keep being pushed underneath the surface. That's why you see that there's so much discussion around racism, right? Because it kept getting put under the surface. But underneath there is systemic racism in which you see others as less than self, dependent upon something in where there is judgment. They have more or less than me, or they think this way or not like that way, or they have a color skin that is different, or whatever it may be. There is a judgment. And the judgment is based in domination, control, and hierarchy, that I am somehow better than you. Well, then you are operating from separation. And when you continue to operate from separation, the universe will continue to bring this to the surface to be healed. So it's going to keep coming up, and it's going to keep coming up, and it cannot be pushed down or away until there will be more riots, more protests, more people coming to the streets to speak their truth so that it can be healed. It must be healed. This is just one of your topics that's happening right now in your reality, right? Because it's based in separateness. And you're releasing separateness and you're moving into unity. And so it's going to have to come up until you heal it. And how do you heal it? You release judgment. So begin by releasing small judgments in your life, something little. Begin to even have an awareness that you have judgment, that you somehow think you know better than another or are more important than another. That is the old paradigm that is based in a matrix reality that is no longer serving the collective and is no longer serving the earth, as she is smothering from it, because separation is also based in the hierarchy of domination and control, which then leads to many control the masses of smaller amounts, and that those then, there are many that are in poverty and so on, and certain larger groups then operate and move out of what would be the energy or the vibration of greed that is suffocating or choking the beautiful gem of the earth that you live on, as you see your forests fall down and your waters be polluted and your rifles pile up, and your tanks get bigger and you push against each other. There's the pushing back and forth, the colliding. Well, the colliding is coming up for healing. So there may be even civil unrest. There may be more colliding. But don't be afraid of that. Engage in looking at it and healing it and bringing love and compassion to it so that it can float away and dissolve, so that murky canopy I'm speaking up over here begins to become thinner. It's like the thinning of the veil, sometimes you think of it as, right? It's the releasing of the density so that it opens more space for the light that has always been there, for you to have more access to it, so that it permeates all the cells in your being and lights you all up to the remembering that you created this game to begin with. And when you all remember that, then no one can control anything, because you are already the remembering that you are the creator of all things. And so it's like a magic trick. Then you can get out of anything. You cannot even be put in handcuffs. They would just be released, because you're only shackled to your own thoughts, that you have forgotten who you are. It is an illusion and it's crumbling. So the things that you have put in place to hold this domination, control of separateness, such as you're asking about your election, are institutions that have perpetuated this, that were not designed originally for that. They were designed originally for equality of all, but they have lost their value. Your constitution is no longer presenting itself in the truth. It is not operating any longer in a way that is based in its original intent. And so something new must be created. And so for something new to be created, the old must fall away. And for the old to fall away, it becomes dysfunctional. So it's very dysfunctional right now because it's based in separation. So anything, whether it be the political structure or anything else on your planet that is based in the idea of separateness, will dissolve. And you might find that to be frightening, but it's beautiful, because it's releasing all the walls that have held you in this idea of greater or less than, which is the vibration of judgment that is no longer part of the new world. And you decided to be here, to be living in a body on earth during this beautiful time of transition. You made a conscious choice. So play with the energy and do your part. You say, well, how can I do something? You must do your own self-healing. So start with the vibration of judgment and begin to release your own judgments. And as pods of beings all over the planet collectively begin to bring their shadow energy to the surface to be seen personally and collectively, to be healed, then you can open up to something new. And then you can build something magnificent and beautiful that honors the earth, that honors the indigenous ways, that honors each other, and that is based in unity and love rather than division and polarity and separateness. And so that is where you're headed. That is what is happening. So know that you are divine, and this has all perfectly been orchestrated, that you are safe and filled with love, that we are here from the angelic realm to support you, and that the way that you can help yourself and the earth and each other is to heal your own emotional wounds and clear the canopy of murkiness above so that more light and more love can shine through and shed light on the dark things that have been hidden beneath the surface, that no longer can hide away, that now need to and will be healed. And so with that, I send to you all of my love and all of my light. Many blessings, my dear ones, and good day.
Good day. Thank you so much.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and we'll do this again next week. And I look forward to reconnecting with everybody. So I'll talk to you then. Much love to everyone. Good night.